us, are people there, and indeed are you surprised by that resignation of Yanis Varoufakis?
Not totally surprised, because we knew that even though Mr. Tsipras remains extremely popular in Greece, he was a great asset during the campaign, that's for sure. Today, it's time to start again from scratch almost for Mr. Tsipras, and he really needs to send strong signals to Brussels that some things at least are going to change, because as you know, Mr. Varoufakis, a very flamboyant, vitriolic finance minister, it was regarded by many Europeans as part of the problem, not part of the solution. Now, he might be replaced by someone more technocratic, a bit more humble, so to say. A number of names are being floated. We hear the name of Euclid Tsakalotos, the deputy foreign minister, is also the coordinator of the negotiating team between Athens and Brussels. He's somebody that is more palatable to the likes of Wolfgang Schäuble. We'll see whether his resignation is a game changer. I'm not sure, but at least we can imagine that the next Eurogroup meetings will be a bit less toxic.
Well, Christoph, you mentioned there somebody perhaps more palpable to German is Wolfgang Schäuble. We're seeing a flurry of meetings of European leaders today trying to figure out their next move. French President François Hollande, German Chancellor Angela Merkel to meet tonight. How do you think the Europeans are going to react?
Oh, it's a very tough call for them. I think they face an existential dilemma. What do they do? Do they reach out to Alexis Tsipras and try to get a deal at any cost? Or do they conclude that this no vote is a vote against Europe, a vote against the values of the eurozone, in which case a Grexit becomes unavoidable? But the implications of a Grexit would be tremendous. Economically, of course, we heard it before, but also politically, geopolitically. This would be a godsend for all the Eurosceptics in Europe, and maybe also for Russia, because anything that weakens Europe is good news for them. So this will be a very, very, very tough call for European leaders. What will Angela Merkel and François Hollande decide to do? And we know that Europeans are increasingly divided. We heard the French and the Italians say that we must keep Greece inside Europe because that's where Greece belongs. Meanwhile, you know that the mood is very somber in Germany. Angela Merkel feels betrayed by Alexis Tsipras and by this referendum. She knows that her public opinion has turned against the Greeks. She knows that her parliament is no longer willing to provide money to the Greeks because they don't see any changes, any reforms. It's really a problem of trust. Is it possible within a couple of days, possibly hours, to restore an acceptable level of trust between Alexis Tsipras and his European partners? We'll see what happens. As you said, Angela Merkel and François Hollande will meet in Paris tonight for emergency talks. We'll also see an emergency Eurozone summit in Brussels tomorrow evening, and I think by then we should get a clearer picture of what's going to happen.
Meanwhile, Christoph, just very briefly, the no from Greece was defined, but also a very definite one, 62% almost. How do you explain that extent of a no?
It's a very strong signal. I was on Syntagma Square yesterday, on this very square where people were celebrating the no vote, the no victory. I think it's really a vote against what the Greeks call the elite, because when you look who campaigned in favor of the bailout deal, well, it was the traditional, the mainstream parties, PASOK, New Democracy. These parties are held responsible by the Greeks for what happened in the country. Their voices can no longer be heard. So yes, Mr. Tsipras was all alone. And last but not least, when you're asked basically, do you want more austerity? Do you want more cuts? What do you answer? Well, the automatic response is no. But today we're seeing the implications of this vote, and no one knows where we're going next. We're indeed entering uncharted waters there.
OK, Christoph, thanks indeed for that. Christoph Roby there, our European Affairs editor, reporting for us from Athens.